Go ahead and call this meeting to order with the Pledge of Allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Chad, can you please do a roll call?
Supervisor Craig. Here. Supervisor Thorne.
Here.
Chairman Shaler.
Here.
Supervisor Romer. Here. And Supervisor Wolford.
Yes, here.
First item on the agenda would be citizen concerns. Anyone here wishes to address the town board? Can I give a motion to go into public hearing?
So move. I'll second.
I have a motion by Kelsey and a second by Mitch. All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed say no. Motion carries. Who wants to start? Go ahead, Kelsey.
Kelsey Craig, 2500 First Avenue East. I wanted to thank Summer and Lori. They're right here. You want to stand up? They did a mentor program through the Y, and they approached me about painting some of our park equipment at Wardwell Park. They did a bench and a teeter-totter. So I just wanted to give Summer a certificate of appreciation for doing that. We really appreciate it.
And we actually went and we played at the park the other day, and we went on the tennis courts, and as soon as she saw the bench there, she said, we should paint that.
Yeah, she's already talked about
So
it.
I think we have a second bench that we're going to paint on the tennis court, and so we'll spruce it up. And
I'm not sure if the maintenance guys, they went on painted on Friday, so it could be done. We'll have to check.
But I really want to thank Kelsey and the board, because this kind of an opportunity is so awesome for individuals like myself who are hanging out with kids like Summer, and to be able to have such a fabulous, really quick turnaround in phone calls. I got the right person, she called me right back, and this is something that I can help teach her and the other people who are watching us paint in the park, that this is something that anybody can get a hold of. You can go out there, if you see something that needs to be done, you just give a call and these guys will help you out, and we'll make sure that the community gets better every day.
You had some kids that wanted to help the second time around, right?
They did, they really did. But I wasn't sure if their parents would want it, so we had to wait.
So I just wanted to bring you here to thank you, and we appreciate it. Good job.
Thank you.
Don't be strangers, Summer.
Yeah, thanks. Great. I guess anybody else? Go ahead, Lee.
Lee Lease 100 Church Drive. Again, I want to address the chairman about this. I still have items on my request from 2 months ago that still have yet to be completed yet. I did receive another one yesterday. Yeah, that would have been yesterday. So I still have a couple items yet. Just giving an update on that. I want to also ask about item H on there about the attorney. If the fire department is using it for the association, I personally feel like it would be within the best interest of both parties for them to retain their own attorney, considering there may end up being conflicts of interest. So it may be not a bad idea for the association itself to retain their own attorney. I want to clear up some things. The requests that I'm putting towards the town or any department are not because I'm targeting the department. It's because I didn't receive the information 2 years ago when I asked for it. So now I'm requesting it via open records request. They're all mine. They're not anybody else's. I'm the brainchild of this whole thing. So it's not anybody else's giving me information about this. And just so the fire department doesn't feel like I'm targeting them in particular, I have open records requests for more than just one department around here. So it's not just the fire department. And also, I have never ever said to anybody that I wanted to cause trouble within that department. If you ask anybody I've ever talked to about this, it's always been that I want them to follow the same rules that everybody else has to follow, and I want an open and transparent government. I don't want to cause trouble. I don't want anybody to leave. I don't want anybody to step down. That's not my intention. My intention is just to get the information out there that I've been requesting for a couple years now. And that's all I have.
Why do you want it?
Well, just a minute, we'll call on him. Lee still got the floor. You got anything else for us then?
No, I
Okay.
relinquished the floor.
All right, thank you. I guess, go ahead now.
I just want to know why he needs it.
Can you give us a name?
David Wardwell.
Okay, thank you.
The reason behind me needing it is not anybody else's business other than mine. I'm a resident here, and I'm requesting the information for my own personal information.
Under Wisconsin open records law, you don't need a reason to request any government record. You can even go in and give a false name, and they have to give you that record if it's an open record. And almost all government records are open records.
Is that it, Dave? All right, thank you. Anybody else? Anybody else?
B.
Oh, B, go ahead, B.
Beef family, this is the potholes in front of my house. I've had them for years and they're getting worse. And I talked to Mr. Thorne, but yeah, a couple weeks ago, maybe it's been longer, your two drivers came in a truck. They looked at him, they left. Nothing was done. I guess I'll have to go out there and do it myself. I haven't heard no more about it or anything.
Yeah, I know we plan on stopping and putting some stuff in your holes. I talked to Steve about it. Do you know if we made it back out there?
Ran out of product that day and we've been really busy since.
Okay. We intend to get some more product and
It's also when Ralph and I stopped by and
we stopped by and looked at them. And that was probably us that stopped and looked. And that's why we were there.
So
so
that's
we
what
both-
they did a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, that would have been that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we intend on getting them filled for you.
Okay, no. Otherwise, I'm going to do it myself. I'll get out there. I'm getting sick of it.
Is that it, B? You got anything else for us?
Pardon?
Do you have anything else?
No, that's
Okay, thank you. Anybody else? Go ahead, Bruce.
Yeah, are we planning on allowing parking back on Sky Harbor Drive?
That's coming up on the agenda tonight.
Yeah, I see that, that's why I asked about it, yeah.
Yeah, we were going to discuss it. Or at least maybe part of it.
Well, there's two reasons why they were taken off. Number one was all these trucks were parking there and they were leaking everything from antifreeze, the fuel oil, the hydraulic fluid, the rear end grease, and it was compromising the blacktop. Number two, it's a whole lot easier for these guys that are plowing snow to make a pass over there, clean it up instead of have to come back and come back and come back after these trucks leave. So I would say to keep it the way it is. Everything I've heard, people are glad that there isn't parking over there.
We're intending on possibly opening it up for just a small amount of it, leaving a majority of it closed.
Yeah, but the problem is with the trucks parked in the street, they're the ones that leaking and they're the ones that's compromising the blacktop. That's why it shouldn't be parking on there, especially with trucks.
Just to clarify again, when we made that motion again, it was to April 1st, and that's, I think, why we put it back on the agenda, just to clarify and see where the board wanted to go from now, so.
Well, like I say, it's a relatively new road. There's no use letting these trucks park there. I mean, why should you subsidize the private business if they're gonna have truck parking there? They should provide a parking lot off street for it rather than sit there and leak and compromise our street. Don't make sense.
No, and I agree with what you're saying. Got some phone calls from some residents that they truck for a living and they have nowhere to. There's nowhere on the island for them to park. So we're just trying to make it. We're trying to compromise a little bit with the residents that live close by. Because I know there's some noise issues as well. It's the first time I've heard anything about stuff leaking, and it's a definitely valid point. And that's why we were going to talk about it at tonight's
It was
meeting.
pointed out to the previous owners over there too, and so You know, it'd be just, we got enough streets to fix over here without having to go back and redo another one.
Okay.
Anything else, Bruce?
Yeah, Mitch, on the gutters up to the library,
Yeah,
why was the smaller ones put on there instead of the wider ones with that metal roof?
I didn't even look. He was supposed to put 6-inch ones on there. He didn't.
No. Yeah, I mean, you know, with a metal roof and as big as that roof is.
Yeah, he gave me a bid for 6-inch gutters and only put
Really?
4 up. Yeah.
And I don't know, you know, we don't even need any more water in the basement up there either.
I'll get in contact with him. Yeah, that was the whole idea of the
The other thing,
6-inch gutter.
you know, we had the drainage thing put in out front, and I was wondering why, you know, all the water wasn't funneled out to the front where that drainage system was put in for, well, that was half of the
Well,
reason.
I think he's funneling it down the hill into that little gully there, and then it runs down to the drain. I don't know how much longer you'd want to extend those downspouts, you know, from where they are right now. And they're made to flow down that hill into that little gully that exists there. But I didn't realize they only put 4-inch
It
gutters
looks
on
like
there.
the small ones to me.
Yeah, I'll check it and give him a call back, because the bid was for 6-inch gutters.
Anything else, Bruce?
That's all I got right now.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else?
Chairman?
Go ahead, Chad.
Had a call this afternoon from Shirley Felmy. She wanted to, she wasn't able to attend tonight, but she wanted to make, for the record, item B for the fireworks. Her recommendation again is she's not in favor of fireworks. Her suggestion again stands from last year of doing more of a community firework day or firework time at a specific place. So that's what she wanted for the record, so everybody knows.
Thank you. Anybody else? Okay. I guess, can I get a motion to call the public hearing?
So moved.
I have a motion by Ralph and a second by Mitch. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, say no. Motion carries. Let's move down to the consent agenda, items A through C. If there's no action taken on the consent agenda, can I get a motion?
I'll make a
To make a motion to amend the minutes from last month's meeting. I was looking through here and I was going to see if we could make an amendment to state that it was stated that Chief Malby didn't need to attend these meetings unless there was something specific that he needed to be here for.
That is my recollection of it as well.
That was, so that, again, that was the conversation that, up from this point, from previous, they weren't required to attend, and I guess that was if the request was made, or if the board requested, or if the fire department wanted representation at every meeting. So it's allowed, but at that point, it was required.
Well, I think representation at the meeting would certainly be looked at favorably, but the minutes are incorrect because we never made it an official order or anything else that they attend, other than, you know, it was a suggestion.
Right.
So, yeah. So, you made a motion
Yes.
to accept the minutes with the correction under that particular provision we just discussed.
Correct.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, I have a motion by Ralph and a second by Mitch. Any further discussion? I'll call the motion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Motion carries. Let's move down to business, 5A. Tina Brennigan, request for a third dog.
There's a misspelling there.
Oh.
I'm Brettigan, but I do work at Brennigan's. We just have a 11-year-old lab that's living a borrowed time. And we had an opportunity. We didn't realize we couldn't have 3 dogs, and we put money down on a chocolate lab. It was born the day after my mom passed. So I'm just asking for permission and doing it the right way. And I do have I'm sorry. Signatures from neighbors, and also updated that I do keep all my animals updated and all the shots, and Rotella, the records here too.
What is the health issue with your 11-year-old dog?
His hips.
Okay. So he's reaching the point where,
Yeah.
how soon do you think you have to put him down?
I would say within a year or two. I mean, I can't predict, but he's really slowing down.
For sure within a year, I would think.
Okay.
And it's my husband, Mike.
Okay.
But yeah, we didn't realize, like I said, a lot of our friends have 3 dogs. Tom Campbell's different than City La Crosse. So we just want to come forward, do it the right way, get permission.
Well, as Bob would like to say, historically, we've approved these in the past with a one-time exception. And your older dog is in poor health, probably not going to survive a year. I don't have a problem with it. Anybody else on the board?
I think this is a good time now that we changed 2 board members that a precedence can be changed. If we wanted to make a change, we don't have to do what history has done.
Well, actually, we'd have to change the ordinance because the ordinance says 2. If we wanted to go to 3, we would have to.
Granting a third dog. Yes, we granted it a one-time thing.
Well, what the one-time thing means is that one time for her.
No, I understand that.
Yeah.
I have come to the meetings for the last, I mean, I understand.
Okay.
I'm just saying that in the past 2 years, you had a different board. Now you have 2 new members. It's time that we could set a new precedence that maybe we don't do the one time. I mean, we do have a 2-dog rule. I understand there are situations, medical. People come from La Crosse and they have 3 dogs, and obviously you can't ditch a dog because you move here. I'm just saying, I'm just putting that out there. I put that out there before I was on the town board that you guys, before I was on here, that you did go with always granting a 3rd dog. So I wanted you to stay with that, but now the board has changed. So now would be a good time to change if we were wanting to and go forward with
We
that.
haven't always granted a 3rd dog. I mean, there's been people who've been turned down, but in those rare exceptions where a family member dies or a dog is in ill health, or somebody moves here that has 3 dogs, we have made those exceptions.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Those are,
And,
but we granted 3rd dogs for.
I am not interested in changing the ordinance per se, but I still think we should limit it to one time to a family, because what's going to happen then is every time a dog approaches death, if they want another dog, they're going to get one, and we're going to keep this perpetual cycle going. My opinion is we leave it to one family, but in this case, we're just looking at her request for a 3rd dog. I think under the circumstances, I'd make a motion to approve that.
I'd second that motion.
I have a motion by Mitch and a second by Ralph. Any further discussion? I'll call a motion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no.
No.
Motion carries. 5B, set dates and times for fireworks permit. Thanks, Tina.
Thanks. Thank you.
Tina, you make sure you come in and see me. You'll have to apply and pay the extra for the multiple dog and get it licensed right away.
Okay. Do you want this paperwork as well that I have? Do you have it in that room?
You can bring it when you come see me.
What is the 4th of July?
Tuesday.
Tuesday. Okay. In the past, we've always approved these. There's a few people who are pretty vocal about not approving them, but the state did change the law that allows fireworks to be fired off as long as a person has a license and a permit to do so. We've always put a time limit on it. It's something that comes around once a year. May give us all a little bit of trouble sleeping, but I don't personally have a problem with it, and a lot of my neighbors are the ones doing it. So, I mean, around, pretty close to me, I hear them all night long. So, that's my feeling on it.
I've always voted no. I guess I'm always going to stand with that. But everybody's going to do it anyway.
Well, more than likely.
Yeah.
But without a permit, they're subject to a citation, I guess.
I spoke to other communities, and they all said the same thing. We don't give out permits, but everybody does it anyway.
Yeah. Yeah. And it gets to be too difficult for the police to chase them all. At least if they have a list of, let's say, 8 or 10 houses that are doing it, they know which ones they can just, okay, this one's got a permit and go on and check the ones that don't.
We responded to
so.
7 complaints last year, 22nd and 4th. And I think it all but one case, people that were letting off their permits.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if everybody had a chance. Chief Gavrilo submitted a little memo here documenting some of his, no recommendation, just,
Simply that we're going to be well staffed this year for the weekend. The 4th falls on a Tuesday. I anticipate the majority of the complaints coming in probably Saturday, Friday, Saturday.
Do we have any permit requests yet?
I have received probably half a dozen calls already, wondering if we're gonna do it so far.
Okay.
Can you,
Well,
oh, my
it's-
name's Diane.
Public comment isn't allowed right now, but
sorry.
We have public comment again at the end.
at the end,
Oh,
yeah,
I'm sorry.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I would say if we were going to do it, do you want to look at the 3rd and 4th, Monday and Tuesday? Or Tuesday and
Do it on
Wednesday?
Saturday and Friday.
Probably.
I mean, I would assume they're going to be going off that weekend probably.
How long a time period have we allowed in the past? Is it really a 2-day thing, or? I mean,
Well, we've been fortunate the last couple of times it's been on the weekend, so we've kind of allowed it on the weekend, but now we've moved into the weekdays, so. Do you have what we did last year, Chad?
Some tells me last year was a 4-day as well, wasn't it?
Yep, on that, the long-term goal, like everybody said, is a lot of people do them anyway, and I don't know that we really have a solid measuring from prior to the application process, but generally speaking, I would say just from like neighborhood-wise, our neighborhood, you could see where it is a little more controlled, given people they'll comply with whatever that window is. Now, where we have the opportunity here, maybe since the 4th is done during the week, and that gets to be where, okay, maybe we don't do the 4-day thing, we do it more on the 3rd, maybe,
So,
or whatever, coming into it. Kind of cut back a little bit.
so last year you guys did July 1st, 2016 through July 4th with 11 p.m. time limit, and there was only 20 permits issued.
Well, you set a limit last year to 20, and I believe the first was a Friday, so it was Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday.
See, and if I could, thanks for that, Chad. Chad and I, we kind of talked about this. I know the limit thing may be, I mean, that's by our own. I don't know that the goal was to limit. I want to know I want everybody to apply so we know who it is. If that makes sense. I mean, one of the thoughts was we want the people that want to do it to apply and have that availability, because otherwise we kind of fall back into, well, we gave out 20, but 40 people they just do it anyway, or they'll kind of why have the permit requirement. If that makes sense.
All right, so do we want to do Saturday through Tuesday?
I would say no.
We did 4 days
We don't
last
limit the
year.
number of people that are doing it, but we do limit the number of days in which they can do it.
And Kelsey's right that they'll be doing it over the weekend, irregardless of whether or not their permit is in force at that time or not. What do we charge for the permits?
The permits are free.
Okay. That's maybe something we can revisit next year, about a fee for them. But I'm going to make a motion that we...
Typically, before you go into that
Okay,
real quick,
okay.
the permits are issued by the chairman unless delegated to another person. So I know in the past it's always been to the clerk. Again,
Yeah.
I don't know if you're good with that again or not.
I'm fine with it, yeah. And then you get copies to the police department so they know.
Correct.
Okay, all right. And then time limits. In the past, what did we set them at, 10 or 11?
11
o'clock? Okay. I'm going to make a motion that we allow firework permits to be issued We're gonna cap them at 20 again as a maximum, July 1st through the 4th, ending at 11 p.m. at night.
I'll second that.
I have a motion by Mitch and a second by Ralph. Any further discussion? I'll call the motion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. No. Motion carries. No?
So do we have a 2-2 vote then?
3-2.
3-2, okay.
Move down to 5C, replacement of asphalt with concrete and town yard waste site. Mitch?
Well, I would say at this point, I would ask to hold it over again. I don't have enough support on the board at this time to use reserve funds, so we may have to budget for it. It just is looking like what it's going to be at this point, so I'd like to hold that over again until next month.
All right, to move down to 5D, possible removal of no parking signs on Sky Harbor Drive. Ralph?
Well, like I was saying, we were, well, Chad kind of informed me that it was going to come up on April's, but didn't. And I did talk to a resident that drives truck in town. He has nowhere to park. There's nowhere anywhere else for these guys that, you know, truck for a living to park their semis. But I also know there's some situations with, you know, the residents that live close by. We've limited that. I know there's some situations with plowing the snow and maybe with some of the damage to the roads. My thoughts were to leave the north side closed and open up the south side, or at least a portion of it, to allow for a few semis to park if they needed to, keep it away from the corner of the road, you know, so we're not getting close to the residents, you know, 400 feet or whatever I need to. So I guess I was just looking for some input.
Well, where would 400 feet put it?
I was thinking, so there's a utility pole that sits straight across from the maintenance shed. So it's quite a long distance down. And that's about the area I was thinking.
Okay.
And then there's a lot of that section that, you know, there's fire hydrants along there, and there's a lot of driveways, so there's still a lot of areas that you couldn't park trucks even if you wanted to. I guess I'm just trying to figure out a way to compromise with everybody.
Yeah, I understand. I wasn't in favor of the no parking signs to begin with, for a variety of different reasons, but certainly I think some of the truckers could probably find parking if they inquired. You know, there's some businesses that have large parking lots that aren't being utilized, especially on the weekend, where maybe they could, you know, park their truck. But me personally, I think 200-foot setback would be plenty. That's going to run you halfway through the day's hotel, I'm going to assume, just, you know, guessing. But I'm not opposed to the removal of the no parking signs, but
I'm not opposed either. I think people need to make a living. I understand the roads get driven on, but people need to make a living.
I agree with you on the 400 feet from the, but I'm going to abstain from voting because I live right there.
Okay. And I guess I don't know exactly how far 400 feet is. We talked about that
400 feet would probably get you all the way to Anderson. 200 feet would get you to the back side of the shop.
To the back side of the shop?
Yep.
And I think that we could go 200 feet. That would allow for to keep that noise quite a ways away. We've already got trucks and stuff back there running anyways.
The front part of the shop's probably 150.
Okay. Yeah, that's about where I was thinking. So, I'd make a motion that we open that parking up, except for to 200 feet of the corner.
Does that include the entire north side of Sky Harbor?
Yeah, anywhere where.
so, just the south side. I think we're
The
referring
south
to the
side,
north
yeah.
side's
The north side
always
would
been
be
no
closed.
parking all along
Yeah.
there.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would make that motion.
I'll second it.
I have a Motion by Ralph and a second by Mitch. Any further discussion? I'll call the motion. All in favor, signify. Oh, go ahead.
Yep, so part of this, I'm open for, adjusting it. One of the reasons, of course, is because of the heavy load that was in there during construction. And part of that was our roads were taking a fair amount of abuse from leaking, and then the residents from running, definitely in the wintertime. So opening it up and kind of keeping that or adjusting it and seeing how it goes from there.
Yeah, we can always.
I'm all for that, but I just want to keep in mind, that the original intent that was resident driven because of the amount of trucks, and they would park all the way at the stop sign. So maybe keeping that back at that telephone pole will address that safety issue there at the intersection.
Yeah.
Is that far enough back? I'm trying to visualize where that's at.
I think 200 feet would put you about back to the front of the maintenance shed if you were, measuring it back from Bainbridge Street.
Okay. Back from the stop sign, you're saying?
Right.
To the west, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks.
And it can always be revisited in the future as well if it becomes an issue. But I think most of the trucks that will be parking there are probably not loaded. Some maybe, I don't know. If they're at the Days Hotel, they might be. But I think we can maintain most of their trucks in their parking lot. I think they'd be willing to do that as much as they can. The construction projects have kind of wound down a little bit. There's not much parking over there anymore. So
I guess we'll go back. Any further discussion? I'll call the motion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Motion carries. Let's move down to ordinance number 2017-2 relating to substitutes for buildings. Mitch?
In our zoning process, we've always had that ordinance in place disallowing the portable garages. And we just want to reinsert that language back into the zoning code as well. When it was codified, it was taken out. We just want to add it back in now.
The only change to it that we made is there was some wording in there that any approvals by the administrator, since we don't have an administrator,
right.
We put it back in as town zoning administrator. Other than that, the verbiage is the exact same as what we had.
Okay.
I'll make a motion that we make that amendment to the substitute building code, ordinance 2017-2.
I'll second that. Motion by Mitch, second by Terry. Any further discussion? I'll call a motion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Motion carries. We'll go down to 5F. Renewal of membership in the League of Wisconsin Municipalities Local Government Stormwater Group. Chad?
This is something that the board approved a few years ago to get into the local government stormwater group. It's a $200 a year fee for our size. Really what it is, it's a lobbying group from the League of Wisconsin Municipalities regarding stormwater. Invoice came, so they're looking for memberships again for 2017, although I do realize it's June. They obviously were a little late on getting those invoices out. But again, something that you guys did, I'm sure Bob, you probably remember this. I think it was 2014 maybe.
Yep. Sounds about right. So part of that was to have a voice into the mandate that typically was going to come to us from the state, and how we would have to react or respond to stormwater runoff, and then the potential cost associated with that. So that association, that lobbying, that group, I guess, for small communities or towns or small communities, where is our ability to have some sort of be part of the conversation. go up, Chad?
It has not, no, it's still $200 a year.
So I move that we continue on with that, just as a member with the ability to have a voice in the stormwater runoff regulation that comes from the state.
I'll second that motion.
I have a motion by Bob and a second by Mitch. Any further discussion? I'll call the motion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, say no. Motion carries. Move down to the uniform shirts for town board members. Mitch?
Yeah, this is an idea I discussed with Chad in the past, that the town board members purchased or have purchased for them polo shirts with the Town of Campbell logo on them, so that when we come here, we're easily identified if we're not in front of people who want to talk to us beforehand, and just to present a more professional appearance. And I'm just looking for some input from the board on it.
I think it's a good idea.
I'm all about it. I think you should totally be business casual or professional, I guess.
I'm not opposed.
Okay. Well, then I'll make a motion that we get some prices for uniform shirts for the town board members, and then we make a purchase.
I'll second that. I have a motion by Mitch, second by Terry. Any further discussion? Call a motion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Motion carries. I was waiting for Bob, but
You still there, Bob?
Yes, I'm here.
Oh,
okay.
did you want
Hey,
to? Yeah, did you want to vote on that one or?
On shirts?
No, it was for shirts.
Yes, sir.
I'm going to go ahead and abstain on that. I didn't know that I heard the whole conversation. Is it just shirts, like polo shirts for the board members to wear at functions, or what is that?
Yeah, town board meetings and functions, yes.
Wait. Are you doing a dress code to the meetings?
Just the shirt.
My vote is no.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Thanks, Bob.
Yep.
5H, authorization for Campbell Fire Department to use town attorney for legal advice. That's me. I got a phone call from the chief and asked me about it, and I said I'd bring it to the board. I guess Mitch had talked to him and told me he should use the board, the town attorney. So,
Well, that was to deal with one specific incident, because I wasn't sure on a meeting that was called the other night if that had to be posted. Now, it was the opinion of the Office of Open Government that it had to be. And so I expressed that to Matt that they probably shouldn't have that meeting, and they went ahead and didn't have it that night. I have no problem necessarily for them using the town attorney unless there is a conflict of interest, which could arise in these kind of cases sometimes, particularly if it's personnel matters and those kind of things. But anybody else have some strong feelings on it?
Do we know why? I mean, what's the deal?
Well, it would be for legal advice. I would assume most of the time dealing with police, fire, or even town personnel, it's going to generally be disciplinary
Is it
action
come
of some
from
type.
the town's general fund or the fires?
Well, that's an issue that it needs to be discussed, I guess. It could be a conflict of interest, and you know, if the town's interests are different than the fire associations, then that's going to create a problem with the town attorney being involved anyway. So, but to call the town attorney and ask him a question that he could probably answer for them, I don't necessarily see a major issue with that, because the cost is going to be pretty limited.
So then the town would pay for that, not the fire department.
Right.
So let's say this was police. Does the police pay for that if they reach out to? Do they have their own? How does that work?
Well, we have a legal fund that's part of my budget, about $8,500, Chad?
I think we did 7,000 this year.
7,000, and we really haven't used it the last couple of years, so there is a little bit of money set aside. Now, obviously, that's not going to cover a major litigation by any stretch of the imagination, but there is a small amount of money there where we can consult with a town attorney if we need to.
I feel as though I disagree. I think
Okay.
they should reach out to their own and find their own funds. I also think, no offense to Ralph, but you should abstain from this, I think.
I can abstain from that.
You are a board of trustee. I just think you should abstain.
Yeah, I can abstain from this, though.
I guess if it's for the fire department's use, I feel it'd be okay, but if it's for the fire association, no.
He's on the board of trustees.
Yeah, he's on the trustee, so he's
Right.
gonna abstain.
And that's kind of the distinguishing
Yeah.
thing I was making, that
Right.
if it's
For fire department.
for the
yes.
fire department, they should retain their own, but if it's for the town involving the fire department, I don't see a problem with them using the town attorney if they needed to for some minor questions or
Yeah.
legal opinion.
So when the police reaches out to an attorney, does the police pay that out of their fund, or does the town pay out of the general fund?
It would depend, because the police union, the Wisconsin Professional Police Association, provides legal services for officers that are, let's say, the focus of investigation that might result in disciplinary action. The fire department is volunteer, so they don't have such an organization to provide legal services for them that they would pay a retainer to. The police officers pay a retainer in their union dues that goes for legal services if they need it for the individual officers. Now, if they had a question related to town business and wanted a legal opinion from the town attorney, then yeah, that would come out of my budget. But for defense of their own personnel and stuff, they do have a legal fund set up already. So.
Bob, you got anything there? You want? Are you with us yet?
Yeah, I'm just trying to make sure I'm capturing the whole conversation. So the question is, for the fire association legal issues, should they be using the town attorney? Is that correct?
I'm assuming it's for town-related business, not association-related business, which could sometimes be one and the same, I guess. So it kind of gets mired a little bit because they are an association rather than a arm of the town government, so to speak.
Yeah, so I guess it's a good point. I don't know that I have a detailed understanding, and maybe that's part of it, is that laid out in the, under the association, or do we need to draft that document to say at which point, this is where the separation occurs? And is that really what you're trying to already accomplish, Mitch?
Well, that's what I would like to accomplish, and like I said, I don't necessarily have an issue with them using the town attorney for legal advice on a matter that's going to affect the town itself. To have them provide legal services for the fire association is a little bit different, but they can be mired if it's a personnel matter. So we may have to have a legal opinion on this before we make a decision, and maybe even have a document drafted so we have sort of a delineation of how we would do it, I guess.
Yeah, I think logically it seems like it makes sense that we at least define at what point the town attorney is separate from fire association legal things.
Right, and that may be hard to do, and maybe it can't be done. I don't know, but
yeah, I don't know either. But yeah, I think it's a good question to make sure that either they aren't left vulnerable by something that may occur in which our attorney isn't going to umbrella their organization, or vice versa. I guess it could be the other way around too, where our attorney is representing the town. I don't know what case that would even be, but I guess it makes sense that we define it, look into it anyway, or understand what that difference is.
do we want to hold this over then, Terry, till we get a better legal opinion of how this would actually operate? I mean,
so, hey, Mitch and board, is this a board act action, or is this just a question we're looking to get a definition on, or are you looking for approval to go ahead and get it to count?
Well, they're looking for authorization to use the town attorney for legal advice if and when they need to do so. And I think the board could grant that on an individual basis now if we needed to. But maybe we should have a legal opinion to see where that line of separation takes place before we act on anything. That would be my opinion anyway.
Yeah, I think you would want to do a couple things. You would want to kind of stipulate, maybe not give them complete access, but stipulate, a one-time deal or something like that. You would probably want to grant authority to one, maybe two individuals that have the ability to call up the town attorney. So limiting it to that as well. I would recommend that, so that way.
Yeah, because every phone call that goes to him
costs us money.
Billed for.
Exactly.
Yeah, because every incident's billable. So.
And I'm sure the town attorney is going to need to know who's authorized and who's not to call him for advice.
Yeah, and we can make him aware of that. But I think we need a really good legal opinion. Maybe there's some case law that exists that we can do some research on to see as well. On where that separation takes place. Because there's going to be some instances where the town's interests are going to be affected by the fire department and the town attorney is going to be involved. And then there's going to be other instances where that's not going to be the case, or where there might be a mixture where, he can't be involved. There's a conflict of interest. So we sort of need to get that outlined, I guess.
Well, the ever-changing landscape, so I think that more definition is always better. So, and if we need to be able to grant an authority to use it under fire association, how it matters, that seems to make lots of sense to me.
Yeah, and I think for now we could proceed, authorizing them on a limited basis right now, but I think we need a clear delineation of how much, when, where that can occur.
Well, I'm going to motion that we hold this over till we have more information or have a clear definition.
Yeah.
I guess I don't know what the urgency is. I still think that there should be more information brought, so my motion is that we get more information, a clear definition, and talk to the attorney himself and see what's in play. That's why it needs to be held over.
Well, if I could, is at this point, the motion, or if we're going to make an approval, the approval, as I understood it, Mitch, would be to go ahead and get that definition, start pulling that together.
To hold it over till we can get time to have this looked at and have an attorney actually look at it, maybe the town attorney, and see, where it would work, where it wouldn't work, and where the conflicts of interest might arise. So I think we do need to know that ahead of time before we get into something and we realize that we're now compromised because there is a conflict of interest.
Okay, so the agenda item is not a question you're not looking for approval to go ahead and get this defined. You're looking for approval to grant them access on a case-by-case basis.
The agenda item is to authorize it, but I think right now we have the ability to authorize that on an as-needed basis anyway. If we were approached by a fire officer and say, hey, we need a legal opinion on this, and we could have them contact Brett and do that. Where I see issues could arise is if the town's interests oppose the association's interests, and then the town's attorney is going to obviously have to be affiliated with the town, and that could create some conflict of interest. So there needs to be.
I'm in agreement there. We can grant them authority if we need to right now. The question I have is, I don't want to hold over an agenda item if it is just to start to define where the parameters are. If the agenda item is to start defining where the parameters are for the fire association or separation, fire association, and town board, I move that we start that now, or instead of holding it over.
Well, again, right now, I think we could authorize that on a case-by-case basis without it even being an agenda item. What we're trying to do is make a separation so we know, and we're going to need time to do that.
Okay, strike my motion, please.
Okay.
Sorry.
Oh, we do have a motion on the
The
floor.
question that I have is are we looking at the guidelines, the parameters of the rules of engagement or what that would be? Or we start looking at that like right now? I mean, we don't need a board action on that. That's where I'm coming from. I don't think we need board action.
No.
Start looking at it.
No, but the way this is worded, we're being asked to authorize them to use the town attorney for legal advice, and we can probably do that right now on a case-by-case basis without bringing this motion forward, but in order to get a better definition, we're going to need time on when the town attorney can act in their behalf and when he can't.
Okay, good enough. Right on.
Go ahead. Wait a minute, Bob. We do have a motion on the floor by Kelsey to hold it over, and before we get some more information, do I have anybody to second that?
I'll second that.
I have a motion by Kelsey and a second by Mitch. Any further discussion? I guess my discussion on that would be I think it should go to a case-to-case basis, and then and they should maybe speak with you because you're the one that they approached last time about the attorney.
So my issue with the case-to-case basis is there's certain people on this board that are going to find out about this case-to-case basis, and the rest of us are just going to sit in the dark. Because I feel as though right now I may not have a clue what is going on, which I'm sorry, public, but I feel as though you might know more than me, and obviously you do because you're on the board of trustees, and you do because you were approached. So that's a little frustrating that I am not sat in a place right now where I can make a decision.
Right, and if I were going to make an approval for them, I would prefer that it be done by the whole board, and we could do that by calling a quick special meeting and doing it, and that wouldn't take any time. The danger we have about starting to share information on the phone with each other is now you've created a walk-in quorum, which is a violation of the law, so we can't do that either. So you got to be very limited in what you say and questions you ask as well, so you don't get tangled up in that mess
But it's hard
either.
for someone to make a decision when they don't know all the information.
Yeah.
With the meeting we went to with Toma, they told us to go to Chad, the clerk, and if there was any information to share, then he would have, and it's his job to do that.
Right. Right.
So we got a motion on the floor by Kelsey and a second by Mitch. Any further discussion? I'll call a motion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no. No.
No.
So it's tied. I guess we're
Well, we had 1, 2, 3 ayes, right? Kelsey, she made the motion.
yeah.
I was
2 ayes and 2 noes. I say no.
He abstained.
He abstained, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
So there's only one no.
Should not be able to vote.
Oh, I thought you voted yes.
I voted no, and so did
Okay.
All right.
and so did Bob. So I guess we bring it back up later, right?
Well, that's what the motion was.
Yeah.
Well, the motion dies on the floor. So here's my motion. If I could, Chair. So, right? I mean, that one's stalemated, or is it still pending?
Nope.
It's stalemate. It's dead on the floor.
Dead on the floor. So I move that if you're going to do it by a case-by-case basis, if that's the agenda item, go forward with that case-by-case basis.
That's not the agenda item. That's not the agenda item.
You've already got that.
Yeah.
We're the fire board, right? So, and this one could die on the floor as well if I'm not capturing it. But I would move that. But and in order to stipulate to that would be we define or we find out, from our attorney and the fire association bylaws, the power rules, so we know where the guidelines are.
Well, that's kind of what the motion was that just failed. That we.
No,
pending,
The motion was to hold it over.
it was holding it
Pending-
pending finding the information out from the lawyer, like you just said.
And I'm saying, approve it on a case-by-case basis, don't hold it over, start the process now. That's if I'm understanding it correctly.
But they're not asking for
We don't
case
need
by
to
case.
hold over the motion to get more information. We approve it and let's define what those are starting tomorrow. Case-by-case basis, find out what the parameters are.
You don't think you should have the parameters outlined out there before you make a decision? I mean, today I feel this way, tomorrow I feel another way.
I'm not going to make a decision on what I'm hoping is we don't have to make decisions going forward. We have the process, we do a case by case right now. If there's something pending, I don't know if there is or not. I'm with you, Kelsey. I don't really know what's driving that, but I don't want to hold over if there's something going on.
Well, we should make a decision if we don't have all the information. I mean, that's silly.
Yeah, I didn't capture part of that. I probably talked
I
about
said we
it.
shouldn't be making a decision if we don't have all the information.
The only decision I want to make is to approve the definition of legal engagement for both entities, the town and the fire association. And if we're holding it over until we find more information, it just seems counterproductive. I don't, that's the part I'm having a gap on. I want to approve that case-by-case basis, if that's what the request was for.
That's not what the request is for.
What's that?
The request, did you get the agenda emailed to you?
If I did, it hasn't shown up or...
It says authorization for Campbell Fire Department to use town attorney for legal advice. That's what it says. Nothing to do about a case-to-case basis. So what I motioned was to go back and have someone do some more information, the person that brought this to the board, and define where the attorney can help them and where they can't. I don't know if there's an urgent situation right now. If there is, unfortunately, we can't just make a decision. I feel that we need to have all the information, and we can't change our mind a year from now because we decided to make a decision today.
And yeah, I'm not tracking on that. The rules are going to be the rules, whether we can or can't.
So you're going to not have any
That's
rules?
what I like it. That's what I like it defined.
So you're not going to have any rules today, but tomorrow you are. So today we're going to let them do what, you're going to approve it or not approve it, and then tomorrow you're going to change the rules. So what I'm asking for is that we just get more information. Sometimes we have to hold things over. We held over the pavement. We held over the trees for 2 years. I mean, you hold things over.
Yeah, I feel a little contention here. I understand the process of holding over. What I'm getting at, that motion, I move that if there's something to be reviewed, on a case-by-case basis, we address that. Along with that, we need to get the information that you were defining previously, and which I completely agree with. We have to know where those rules of engagement occur, or what they are, what the rules of engagement are. So the only difference is if there's something pending, if we can engage our resources, which would be the lawyer for the town, or whatever that might be, if something comes up in the meantime between now and when we get it defined. So we're not waiting on anything. That's the only difference. So if nobody wants no second and it dies on the floor, then so be it.
So, I guess what I'll do right now. Bob, did you make a motion on that, or?
Yes, he did.
Oh, okay.
I did.
Okay.
I move that if there's something pending, that we engage our resources and make a decision as far as whatever that current situation would be. But also, we want to know, and or part of this is going to be defining what that looks like going forward, as far as fire department, town, and legal resources. How they use them, whether they can if there's something pending.
Again, I would strongly urge that you define who's authorized, not just any member of the fire department. Say the chief or the assistant chief or somebody.
I didn't approve anybody from the fire department. My motion was for the town board to approve a case-by-case basis if somebody approaches them from the fire department. That was my motion.
I'm gonna second that just so we can.
That is my motion.
I mean, we shouldn't just second to be done with it. I mean, that's silly.
We'll move on then, because he's got a motion on the floor, so I'll second that. Any further discussion?
Yeah, I think that's wrong to just second it because we want to move forward and be on with our night. I think that is not doing the town any, it's not helping the town any.
But I have to.
We don't have to, they can die, no second, no
No
motion.
second? Okay.
Right, you can leave it at that.
So, I would, since we don't have a second, well, I did make a second on that, so is there any other further discussion? I'll call a motion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, say no.
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 Okay. So I'm going to redo this one and then see if it makes any sense. I'm going to make a motion that on a case-to-case basis, the Campbell Fire Department can use the town attorney, not the Campbell Fire Association, and we'll define it to one person only, the chief of the fire department can use that, but he still needs to bring the information to the board before the town could authorize it.
Point of order, can the chairman actually make a motion?
He can,
Yes.
yes.
Okay.
I never knew that until we went to that meeting.
Doesn't happen often, but yes, it is allowed. In a town. Village, city, different.
I need a second on that.
So the only difference is you're finding the chief, and they still have to come to the board as a approved request of the attorney.
Correct.
Is that correct? I think that's the same thing, so I would second that.
All right. Any further discussion? I'll call a motion. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no.
No.
That's it. Motion dies on the floor again. If we carry it over, and we'll do it again at a later date. I make a motion that we carry it over.
So,
And
time out. I am amending your motion back to my original motion of holding it over until we could clarify and get more information. That's what I said originally and what you were just going to say. So can we just bring that one back around again?
yes.
All right. Ready to go.
I have a motion by Kelsey, second by.
I will second that motion.
Thank you, Mitch.
Any further discussion? I'll call a motion. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, say no.
No?
Motion carries.
There you go.
I guess we're gonna move down to public comment. Can I get a motion to go into public comment?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion by Mitch and a second by Kelsey. Any further discussion? I'll call a motion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Motion carries. We are in the public comment. Go ahead.
Yeah, Glencourt. From what I know of this situation, which isn't very much, sounds like there was a conflict of interest right in the department.
I want to stop you right there, Pete. If you're going to discuss actions that are being taken inside the department, that's not for an open meeting. That is for a closed session and for the fire association only. The public portion of that is only the result of what happens in that closed session. So if there's any disciplinary action going on in any department, that is not available for public comment, period. It can't be discussed. That can be discussed in closed session by the board, association meeting by the fire department, interdepartment meeting by the police department, and only the results are able to be discussed in public. So.
Well, I don't have the right to my opinion to express it.
Well, no, because you're going to possibly talk about something that's pending, and that can't be done.
Pete, do you have anything else for us? You have the floor yet?
No,
Okay. All right, go ahead,
I
Joanne.
got the same opinion.
Thanks, Pete. Go ahead,
Ann
Joanne.
Schaller, in regards to the parking on Sky Harbor, we fought tooth and nail to get that parking out of there, because all that's happening is, yes, I agree with Bruce, the road is getting wrecked, big time. Because there are semis that come around the corners, they're still on diesel fuel all over the road, they're leaking oil, they're not paying attention, they're leaking antifreeze, and furthermore, when those reefers park out there on Sky Harbor, it's louder than a damn tornado siren going off. And you can hear it plain as day all the way through. So I would disagree with having it open at all. And not only that, but when they park out here, Bonsack came to us complaining about the parking last time. They said that their trucks have absolutely no room to get in and out of their lot. So, like Mitch was saying, why can't they park over at Coolant's or park over at Sky or at the outlet mall? They don't use that at night. And that's 9 times out of 10, that's when the truck drivers come in, is at night.
Mitch Gromer, 2402 Lakeshore Drive. They'd have to have permission to do that. That's the only thing that's private property. And I would assume that they're not going to do it for free. But that is a possibility that exists, that they could find off-street parking for their rigs if they lived here on French Island. My concern about it is there are businesses there that Bonsack's, the moving company, the bus company, and occasionally they need to park their vehicles on the street maybe to do some jockeying around, and they should be able to do that in order to conduct their business. And that's the main reason why I opposed blanketing that whole side of the street with no parking. I didn't mind the first 200 feet or so to put distance between the homes that are along there, but over the course of a business day, they may need to use the street briefly, and I don't see that as a major issue. Those trucks are going up and down that street all day, fully loaded anyway, in and out of Bonsack, in and out of Anderson moving, the buses out of Lammers, so I mean, that's going on all the time anyway. So the weight's there.
Yeah, but they're not sitting there for 8, 10, 12 hours a day. Some of them
Right.
even sit there for 2, 3 days at a time.
Well, we can,
And
there
with
is
the no
a,
parking signs that are out there, nothing gets done on them anyway, because there's somebody that was parked there and nothing gets done.
well, it probably can get done if the police are available. Sometimes there's no one on duty, sometimes they're tied up on other things. County Sheriff's Department will not respond and enforce our ordinances. So those are issues we have to deal with. I mean, we have to cover that. No one else is going to the state patrol. They don't issue parking tickets and they're pretty much limited to state highways for their jurisdiction. So
why can't we give the county sheriff's department, if they're coming over here and covering when our guys are off and we have nobody to respond?
the
why
answer
can't
to
we
that
give
is
the
they
sheriff-
don't want it. They don't want the authority to do it because then Bangor's going to want them to do it, Onalaska's and Holman's going to want them to do it. And they have their own policing district. We're just part of one of their beats. When our officer isn't on, they cover us in the absence of a Campbell police officer. But they do not want to spend the majority of their time enforcing ordinances from other communities. I understand that. They've got a lot of highway and miles to patrol themselves in the county, so.
Well, I would appreciate saying no on the parking on Sky Harbor.
Okay.
It's ridiculous.
Thanks, Joanne. Anybody else? Go ahead, Jeff.
Jeff Dalby, 1503 Caroline Street. I want to know if you have decided when you're going to have a police and fire committee.
No, they haven't done any work on that right now, but, I've always thought about taking on something like that, starting back up again. So, if I do, Jeff, but I know some people, I think that would probably be glad to do it. So, I guess, you got anything else for us, Jeff?
Nope.
All right. Anybody else? Go ahead, Lee.
Lee Weiss, 100 Church Drive. The whole phone thing was super difficult, by the way. Having Bob here and trying to explain it over and over and over, really difficult and really frustrating on our part, at least for me to try to pay attention to what's happening there. The other thing is, the police departments, their union, so their association that represents them, they have their own attorneys, right?
They have their own attorneys for disciplinary action.
Okay, so can the union be able to ask the town attorney a question? Would they be able to use the town attorney?
In regard to a disciplinary action?
So what you're saying is it is possible for them to be able to use the town attorney?
No.
I'm not saying disciplinary, I'm saying anything in general.
Oh, with approval, yeah. If they had a question that was delineated along town business, yes.
So that would come from the police department itself, that would come from the union. So the question...
My guess is it'd come from the chief who's non-union if they had a issue that was in the town's interest that they needed the town attorney to address. If the chief was disciplining an officer, then they would contact their own attorneys down in Madison for representation.
Okay, so that kind of also goes along with the fire department. So they have their association that essentially represents them, puts them underneath the umbrella of their association. It's kind of the same thing. If the union necessarily can't use the attorney, then why would they be able to use it if it's a group or an organization that represents them underneath them? Why wouldn't they retain their own attorney for everything?
Well, that's what we're trying to delineate. Sometimes the fire department needs a legal opinion that
the fire department, but not the association.
Well, that's what I said. That's what we're trying to define here. Is that they may need a legal opinion from the town attorney on something that affects the town. So
Say somebody was driving the truck and they hit somebody, that would affect the town. The town attorney would obviously defend the town and the fire department in an instance like that. Now, again, if they're looking at disciplinary action or something like that against one of their own members.
I think you're going to find out that there's going to be like a 6-mile wide gray area here.
Well, there could be, but let's say, for example, the fire chief finds it necessary to remove a fireman for disciplinary action. I mean, their rules allow the association to do so, but that officer probably still has a right to a hearing before the board. And that would have to be delineated. I mean, so the town attorney may be representing the town's interest with the fire chief against the association member. So that's the things that need to be defined.
An individual opens an open records request to the fire association, and they would like to have legal opinion whether they can answer it. Is that they need to retain their own attorney for a question like that?
No, they could get that right from Paul Ferguson in Madison at the Office of Open Government. He would give them a legal opinion for that, and I don't think there's a cost for that.
Okay. Well, you kind of get where I'm going.
Yeah, I know exactly where you're, and that's what we were discussing, how to break that out and delineate it. So the use of the town attorney for the fire department would be for town business, not for association business.
I wish you good luck on that.
Yeah, well, that's what I said. It's got to be defined. So, yeah.
I'm done.
Done. Anything else? Anybody else? Anybody else? No? I guess, can I get a motion to close public comment?
So moved.
I'll second.
I have a motion by Mitch and a second by Kelsey. Any further discussion? I'll call a motion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no. Motion carries. That concludes our business. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
I'll motion to adjourn.
I'll second that. I have a motion by Kelsey and a second by Terry. Any further discussion? I'll call a motion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no. Motion carries. We are adjourned.